So let's go over example 4. It says a person plans to invest a total of $8,000 in an account at 2% and an account at 5%. Let X and Y be the money in dollars invested in the account at 2 and 5% respectively. Let I equal f of x be the total interest in dollars earned from investing the $8,000 for 1 year. Find an equation for f. Okay, so a whole lot of things going on. So first of all, they gave us our variables. That was nice of them. They say x and y are the money in each of them is the money invested in an account at 2% and 5% respectively. So that means that x is the first one, so that's 2%. So X is the amount, right? Amount of money at 2%. And then Y is the amount of, if I can spell the word amount, of money at 5%. Great. Now, we got to trim this, we got to make some equations and we're going to have to trim them down. So let's start by making some equations out of what we know. So you remember, like usual, we're going to need two relationships going on. So oh, and I guess I can label kind of this came out of the let x and y, just so you guys can see it. So those variables there came out of this let x and y be blah, 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 blah. I mean, that whole sentence really is your variables. So that means that the two equation parts are most likely coming out of this first sentence. This one sentence is going to give us a whole lot of information. Now, first piece of information, it's a total of 8,000. Now think about what that means. If it's a total of 8,000, that means that x plus y has to be equal, if I can spell it right, x plus y has to be equal to 8,000, period, just flat up, right? It's the only way it's possible. And then, what else? Well, not much else, actually, because we're not going to actually come up with another equation that's straight up. What we want to be able to do is talk about this I thing, this interest, right? Interest. Interest is equal to, is equal to what? How do you find interest? Well, you take the money that you have at 2%, which was X, and you multiply it by 0.02. Right? That'll be your interest. Plus the amount of money you have at your 5%, and you multiply 0.05. Together, that will give you interest. Now, the problem with that is that it has too many variables. We want the interest to be equal to a function of x, not a function of x and y. Right? And where am I getting this equation from? Well, it's sort of the definition of what interest is. So there's a bit in there that isn't quite in this problem at all. But the rest of it's really coming from the fact that you have interest, right? So these two percentages are giving it to you, right? Now, the only issue is, again, too many variables. I need one variable, x. I don't need this other variable, y. This other variable is making my life difficult. Well, what you can do is you can take the blue equation that came from the fact that the total was 8,000, and you can say, okay, look, if x plus y is equal to 8,000, that means that y is equal to 8,000 take away x, right? Now, why would that be something I want to do? Well, when you're down here in your interest problem, then you can say, oh, okay, if interest is equal to 0.02x plus 0.05y, that's 0.02x plus 0.05. And instead of y, I can say 8,000 minus x. And that, my friends, is our equation, more or less. Right? So let me put it over here. Boom. Now, the only issue with this is it's not cleaned up, which is never good because mathematicians like everything cleaned up. They're weird that way. So we're going to have to simplify this a little bit. It's 0.02x plus 0.05 times 8,000 is 400. You can just grab a calculator if you don't believe me. And that's minus 0.05x. That is equal to, let's see, negative 0.03x plus 400. That's our interest function right there. And that's what they were asking for. Done. Cool. So we took the fact that y was equal to 8,000 minus x, and we substituted it into this interest equation that we came up with for ourselves, right? Two equations. The blue equation comes from the total of 8,000. The yellow part comes from the fact that it's interest. That's just a definition you got to know. And then 2 and 5%. Cool. Now we're going to use a graphing calculator to fill in the following table. We could graph it as well. So let me go to my calculator. And let's see, y equals, clear that old one out, negative 0.03x plus 400. Again, I got that by substituting in for 8,000 minus x for y, getting rid of it so there's nothing but x in there, because they said they want it to be a function of x. I don't even need to set up a window here because I'm not really trying to graph it. I just need to look at the table. Oh, and this is the time where I can teach you a little bit about the table. So you can see that it's going 0, 2,000, 4,000, and so on. So let's see what happens. If I type 0, it's not going to get it to me. Ugh. So that's no good. So I don't want to have to sit here and go down, 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 down all the time to get to the next number. Now there's a couple ways we can get out of this. But I think the simplest way is to change our table. Do you see above your window? See what it says? Table set. TBLSET. That's table set. Setting up your table. Why they didn't just put them on the same button, I don't know. But table set. So click second window. And it's got a little system in here, which is great. It's saying, where do you want to start your table? And what do you want your steps in your table to be worth? What's your change in table? Remember, delta is a science and math term for change. So let's say I want it to start at 0 because that's my first x value on the table. So I want to start at 0. But I want my steps to be worth 2,000. So I'm going to type 2,000. And in our class, we'll always leave these as auto. I didn't want to get into what the ask part means. And there we go. You got your numbers. So 0, 400, 2,340, and so on. All right, let me type those into the table. I'll be right back. There they are. I'm going to make them a little bit gray just to kind of make sure you can see the difference. So describe the possible total earnings. So we used a graphing calculator to fill out the table. Cool. Describe the various possible total interest earnings from investing $8,000 in the accounts for 1 year. Well, let's see. There's all sorts of different possibilities. So we could say if we invest, let's look at it. At the start, if we invest no money, 0 money at the 2%, if we invest $0 at 2%, meaning all the money is at 5%, we will earn $400 in interest. All right. If we invest all $8,000, right? Because there was $8,000 total. So we invest all $8,000 at 5%, right? Meaning no money at, at 2%, meaning no money at 5%, sorry. At 5%, we will earn $160 in interest. And what else can you see? While you wait for me to fix this here, there's some other things to notice, just in general from the table. Right? Look what happens. So you start out here at 400, and then you decrease as you go on. So the more money that you invest at 2%, right, then the lower the amount of money you're going to earn. So the more money, the more money that is invested at 2%, right, which means the higher the x value is, the less we will earn in interest money. I guess I can just say interest, right? Also notice the table has to stop at 0. Let me put it this way. The domain for this function is 0 0 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 8,000. You can't get any more than 8,000, right? Because you only had $8,000 to invest total. So you can't go to 10,000, even though the calculator would let you do it. Look, it gives you numbers for 10,000, but you can't get that high in reality because you only had 8,000 to invest. So the domain of this function is 0 to $8,000. You can't go any less than 0 because you can't invest negative amounts of money either. Right? So there's your domain. Cool. And I mean, you could keep going. Like the more you invest at 5%, the more money you make, and which is the opposite of what we just said here. So the more you invest at 2%, the less money you're going to earn interest. I mean, I guess I can say that. The more money that you invest at 5%, right? Which means that it's a lower x value, because more at 5% means your y is higher. So you're investing more at 5%, which means you're over here. Nothing's in the 2%. Then the more money you will make in interest, or we will make in interest. All right, how much should you invest in each account in order to earn a total of $220 a year? So they're asking you how much in each account, and you want to earn $220 in interest. That's interest. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your equation for interest, and instead of the letter I, right here, you're going to make it equal to 220. So you're going to lose the I and put 220 in, as you're about to. Okay, and then you just have to solve it, right? So you subtract 400, and then you're going to divide by 0.03 in a second. So you're going to get negative 200 equals negative 0.03x. And then you divide both sides by 0.03, or negative 0.03, I should say. Right? And then they're gone. All gone. And that leaves you with x is, and again, this one worked out beautifully. They will not always, but it should be 6,000. Okay. So it's not quite answering the question just because we should give it units. So we should say x is 6,000. Not do it that way. Here. Hold on. We also need to find y. Let's do that right now. Remember, we had $8,000 total, right? So y is 8,000 minus x, which is 8,000 minus 6,000, which equals 2,000. All right, so let me write out what these mean over here on the side. All right. To earn $220 in interest by the end of the year, one should invest, let's see, $2,000, or here, $6,000 at 2% and $2,000 at 5%. And it just occurred to me that you didn't even need to do it this way, because I think those values are right in the table. So you could have just spotted that right in the table and been done with it. But I showed you how to do it by hand as well. So it's right here, 6,200. So if you invest $6,000 at 2%, you're going to earn 220 bucks in interest. So sorry about that, but that's okay. It doesn't hurt to see it both ways. So I'll make a note. Poof. The value is in the table, so it could just be done that way. Now, real quick, I want to show you how to get your table back to normal, because you might not want this 2,000 step. Most of the time we don't. So you just go back to table set, second window. You can make it start at 0 or wherever, but you just change your delta table to 1, enter. And then when you go back to table, it'll go up by steps of 1 then. All right, well done with that problem. I'll see you back here for the next one.